Godzilla. Godzilla. Today, on the Bird Movie Guy, the Bird Movie Guy looks at Godzilla. Is it a good movie? I don't know. What is that? Run! Everybody run! It's the monster! Brought to you by the Bird Movie Guy. Hi everyone, I'm the Bird Movie Guy, and today we're looking at Godzilla. Godzilla just came out. I saw it on the weekend with my wife and daughters, because they're ultra cool, and we're going to talk about it. Let's go. Okay, let's talk about the plot. Godzilla is basically about Godzilla, in a nutshell, but it's really more about this story. They've decided to go more with the human take on what happens with Godzilla. So you don't see a heck of a lot of Godzilla until later on in the film, but we'll get to that. So something's happened. There's a nuclear disaster in Japan, and the main character, Bryan Cranston, who we think is the main character, is trying to figure out what it is, and he becomes obsessed, and his son gets annoyed with him, and his wife died in the whole tragedy. And cut to 15 years later, and the son is annoyed with him, and his dad gets arrested trying to break back in near the plant. His son gets talked into going with them back to their old house, which is supposed to be a quarantine zone because there's radiation. And they get there and find there's no radiation. And that leads to the mystery of what actually happened at the plant. And why are there helicopters and lots of military at the plant? And of course, what's at the plant? Something else. And that's all I'm really going to tell you about the plot. Because it's really cool going into this not knowing anything. And I actually like that. So I say, later on, you get monsters and you get Godzilla. That's the movie. Let's look at the acting. Bryan Cranston is awesome in this. He really, I'm not a fan of Breaking Bad, but the man can act. And you really feel for him in the beginning of this film. Something happens that's terrible, and he really just brings it as an actor. You totally believe every second of what he's doing. And later on, he goes, what he seems to be going nuts. And you kind of feel for him, but really he's not nuts. There's a method behind what he's doing, and he's completely right in what he believes. Unfortunately, he's not in the movie enough that he should have been. He's, as my daughter said, he's the main character. What happened? So I'm just going to say he's not in the movie enough. He should have been in the movie more. His son, who played in the 15 years later part, which he's all grown up and it takes place now, is Aaron Taylor Johnston. Who is Kick-Ass, if you've ever seen the Kick-Ass movies. And he doesn't look a thing like Kick-Ass. My wife couldn't even see him as Kick-Ass. She's like, that's not Kick-Ass. But no, it is. He's all grown up, and he has shorter hair, and he looks kind of buff and military-like, because that's what he is. He's a military guy. He was fine in the role. He did what he was supposed to do. His character is very bland. He's very not... Like, he put his kid to bed, who he hasn't seen for 14 months, and he didn't say, I love you. And I'm just like, come on. It's like, I say I love you to my kids every night. And he's just like, see you later, buddy. Shuts the light off. I'm like, come on, tell your kid you love him. But that's the kind of character they've made him to be. So he's just a kind of straightforward, very kind of emotionless guy who is got a mission, and he's going to do that mission, and that's his character for the film. He's not a bad guy. He's just not all really talkative, and it's hard to get behind him as a character. Everyone else in the film's fine. Elizabeth Olsen is his wife, which is a little weird because she's also going to play his sister in Avengers. They're both in Avengers, and they're playing brother and sister. I don't know. It worked for the film. You were believable. They were completely believable as husband and wife for the time they were together, which was very small. Like, not that they got divorced, but they weren't together for most of the film in location, geographic-wise. Then you got Ken Watanabe. Ken Watanabe is awesome, as Ken Watanabe always is awesome. And he's the one that said, Godzilla. He doesn't say it Godzilla, he says it Godzilla. Which some of the kids, some of the teens in the audience laughed every time he said it. But I'm like, they don't understand that that's how it was originally said. It's not Godzilla originally, it was Godzilla. It's the pronunciation and all that stuff. But he does it, if anyone's going to say Godzilla, it should be Ken Watanabe. So all the acting was fine. Some of it was stellar, some of it was just adequate. But there was nothing wrong with it. There was no one like, oh, that's completely unbelievable. They're directing in this movie. There are some insane shots in this movie. Like, it just looks really good. All of it looks really good. There's never a scene in the whole movie where you're just like, I don't know, that didn't look good. Like, some of it doesn't make sense, don't get me wrong. There's a scene where they're opening doors and like looking through and opening. And that scene, if you think about it, there's no way that should have happened because of what's, like, when you see the movie, you'll understand. It shouldn't have been like that. But I understand they did it for dramatic effect. but the scenes look immaculate. There's a scene, especially when a bunch of guys are halo jumping, not the game, just halo jumping, which is you jump from really high height and come down into the city. And it goes into the guy's goggles, and he's looking around, and he sees this giant Godzilla sitting there, and it's just like, holy crap. It looks awesome. They did an immaculate job. The director did a great job. I can't fault him at all for this. The music really. I had a conversation with a new friend, Serge, and we were talking about how sometimes a good movie will be thought to be great because the music behind it really makes you think it's great when it's not. And it's a trick. Sometimes the music actually is better than the film, and you think the film is great because of the music. This isn't the case. Godzilla, they really kind of nail the tone with the music and the ambient setting and all that behind the scenes motion and noise. And then there's the score coming in. It works perfectly. So final thoughts. Should you see Godzilla? Yes. Is it perfect? No. Here's going to be your main gripe. Not enough Godzilla. My daughter said, there's not enough Godzilla in this movie. And I'm like, you're 9 and you figured that out. That's awesome. There's not enough Godzilla, but it's a setup movie. If there's not a sequel, I will be mad. But if there's a sequel, it totally is understandable that there was enough Godzilla in this one because they were leading up to him and building tension and all that good filmmaking stuff. And the payoff, let me see, the final payoff, oh, my theater cheered. My children cheered. I cheered, and I'm a grown man. There's something Godzilla does which is so epic, and you just, it's all warm in your heart, and it's all warm in the other monster's heart too, trust me, because of what he does. It's just epic. There's no other word to describe what he does to this monster. Let's just say it's freaking cool. Yeah, you should see this movie. Go see it. It's worth seeing. It's worth seeing again. Don't bother with the 3D. I saw it in 3D because I didn't have a choice. It was the only thing we offered. Didn't make a difference. There was never a time where I'm like, wow, look at the 3D. Even the fact that it was Godzilla didn't really make a difference. So you don't need to see it in 3D. Go to the 2D screening. You'd be quite happy. Go see this movie. This movie is a 4-beard movie. It could have been bigger. It's 4 beards out of 5. It could have been bigger. But there was a few things. It's mainly script-wise that was the problem. They did certain things in the script that detracted from the overall score. But as a kick-ass, no pun intended, summer blockbuster with a giant lizard doing awesome things, this is the movie of the summer for that. Go watch it. Let me know what you thought. Comment below, subscribe, and tell me, are you going to go see Godzilla? Do you want to see Godzilla? If you already saw Godzilla, do you like it? Are you going to see it again? All that cool stuff. Until then, stay bearded, everyone. Did you hear that, giant lizard? I haven't stopped running for this whole review. Subscribe and tell the beard movie guy what you thought. I am so tired. Do the Twitter and the Facebook. And until next time, you talk safely. Oh my God!